Hello, everyone. It's the guy in the basement. It is me, Drunk Farmer. No applause? No one? Okay. Anyway, we're gonna get off the kind of the politics and coronavirus BS because, frankly, it's just becoming. Oh, I don't know how I to compare it right now. It's just a really bad rerun from a TV sitcom because it's basically the same crap, same situation daily, and it's just becoming tiresome, to tell you the truth. But if something big comes up, don't worry, I'll bitch about it. But I want to talk about music. That's something dear to me is music. I love music. I grew up on music. I grew up listening to music because of my mother. Yeah, we had this little white radio in our kitchen on a counter. And when I got ready for school, that radio was on the local AM station. Yes, I grew up on AM music. They played music from the 50s, the 60s, and up. When I went to grade school, it was in the 70s. Every day, my mom it would never fail. I think she had that radio on 7 days a week when she was in the kitchen cooking or whatever she was doing in the kitchen, and she would have that radio on. She would listen to that radio all day. I think she listened to that radio all day long because sometimes when I came home from school, that radio was still on. So I grew up listening to from Little Richard to Buddy Holly to the Beatles, all sorts of other groups. Then later on in life, when I was probably in about sixth grade, I discovered FM radio. So I discovered a lot of music there, from Led Zeppelin to The Who to Foghat, Blue Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick, Kiss. Also discovered music from the Neighborhood Guys. I was probably I was the youngest, probably the youngest guy on our block, and the older guys would always play their music, from their car stereos or from their basements, or they would, when mom and dad weren't home, sometimes they would take the speakers and put them outside and crank the music up. Our neighborhood was full of music from Foghat and Molly Hatchet, Leonard Skinner, the Eagles, and all other, and God knows what other bands were playing then. I think I knew a neighbor who loved the Ramones. One of my other neighbors had an MC5 album. But it was just a lot of music going on in that um, neighborhood at that time. It was the 70s, so you had various types of music back then, but most of the kids were listening to, like I said, Cheap Trick, Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Foghat, and Molly Hatchet, Leonard Skinner, and and I just kind of I fed off that. I grew into that. I was growing up listening to all that music. I grew up listening to bands like that. And when I discovered little FM radio, I discovered bands like Deep Purple and, other bands, the Blue Cheer and, bands like that. And as I got older, my music genre just exploded. Yeah, if anybody asks me how do I describe my music genre, it's all over the map. It is. I listen to a lot of stuff. So let's just put it that way. Um, but as I got older, and I started riding my bike. You have to consider this was the 80s. I went to a record store in downtown. It was downtown. Me and a friend of mine used to go down there. We either rode our bikes, took a bus, or whatever. We always go downtown to this record store to see what was the latest albums out, the latest groups. And like I said, we didn't have the internet then, okay? I mean, we didn't just turn on the internet and say, hey, these guys got a new album out. We had to find out through, oh my gosh, through magazines or radio, or I can't remember all how we found out, through friends, basically. It was how we did it. Seriously, that's how we did it. Word of mouth. magazines, radio, or just went down to the record store and found out about it. Like, oh my God, these guys finally came out with a new album. I got to buy it. And yes, we did. We bought them. I mean, I bought them, man. I'm serious. But one type of music I got into was heavy metal. I got into that when I was at an early age. I'd say I was in junior high. Got into groups like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, God, Saxon. There's other groups I just can't name off the top of my head right now. Then Black Sabbath. But then I started getting into like thrash metal out of the San Francisco thrash metal scene back in the 80s. And a friend of mine and I went to this other guy's house and we went down to his basement and he turned us on to Metallica and it was the Ride the Lightning album, I think. And then I got turned on to groups like Metallica, Anthrax, Exodus, um, Testament, Overkill, um, Pantera in the 90s. But I'm it just, but it, my music genre didn't stop there. I started listening to other music. I also listened to the blues. I also listened to some rockabilly, and I listened to rockabilly too. So, like I said, my music genre is all over the place. I just don't. I'm not focused on one type of music, brand of music. I listen to other types of music too. So there you go. That's how it explains it. There, I explained it. Yay! And so that's how we listen to music. I mean, that's how we got turned on to other groups from other people, basically, because like I said, we didn't have the fucking internet. And we had groups of people, that you knew and say, hey, I got this album, hey, I got this, I got that. And you say, oh, I'll come over and listen to it, or I'll bring the album over. Hey, can I borrow your album so I can listen to it? Or can I borrow your album so I can tape it? And that's what we did. And that's how music got around and that's how we listened to music back in those days. And I mean, like I said, it was word of mouth or whatever, and we did it. I mean, we found any means necessary to find out about bands. We go to a record store, and sometimes if the record album looked cool, the record album cover looks cool, my man, we'd probably buy it. I knew a friend of mine that did that. He bought some records that some bands that were good. Then he bought some bands that had really cool album covers that just totally sucked. Um, and a couple days later, they're back in the used album section. But all in all, going to record stores was fun. If anybody, record stores are almost extinct, by the way, but they are making a little bit of a comeback, and that's good to see. It's just a different thing going to a record store than trying to find music online because I'm finding music online. Yeah, you can do that, but if you go to a record store, you can find things. You can find things that you enjoy, or may find something different, or you might find something that you may never heard of, and what the hell, give it a try, right? But going to a record store back in my days, you could buy records, tapes, VCR tapes, posters, T-shirts, concert tickets. This record store had pretty much everything. It had everything from heavy metal to country music to bluegrass music. So, but that's a record store. And the genre of record stores. You know about the record store, a good record store, if it had all local bands playing, announcing where they're playing, all their flyers on the front window, because you knew that record store supported local music. But I have to admit, I do miss those days, and I wish I can go back to those days, being and young and dumb and buying records. But if you haven't been to a record store in a long time, hey, if you do find one, and if you want to relive your youth, go for it. But what the hell do I know? I'm just a guy in a basement First of all, before I go, I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You rock. Also, hey, everybody, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead or hit that like button. Go for it. Or if you want to leave a comment at my email account, go to drunkfarmer67@gmail.com. You can leave a comment there. I will try to answer it. I always read them when they're in the inbox. So, hey, come on, people. I need something to read once in a while. But until then, I am Drunk Farmer. We'll see you next week, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And by the way, like once again, happy Mother's Day.